was mentioned very, very briefly in that, in that, I don't know what to call it, not debate, not moan, discussion, lecture, whatever it was. It was dropped in there briefly that we played a 1,000-point game.
We did indeed.
This week.
Yes.
What are your thoughts on a 1,000-point game, James?
It's tough. So I liked it in the sense of I could have multiple big main heroes, because lower points you have your big guy and then you have like a few supporters, where this one I could have Aragorn the King, I could have Legolas, and I could have Eomer, still have a captain,
And a captain, yeah.
and it was nice to have all of them on the battlefield and be like, yes, there's more than one thing for you to think about with this. It's I like having I just like that side. But I guess we kind of touched upon it earlier as well, is that you end up with a lot of cannon fodder battles, which are just a bit, they just become a bit mundane, really. Yeah. So there's nice in parts, but I feel like, I don't know.
Took 3 hours.
Yes.
Obviously, a lot of that is the filming. And
Yeah, it's true. And I guess technically, they do recommend a bigger board for 1,000 points, where we did stick to a 4x4.
But I don't think that would make it.
It's only recommended size. It's not like it has to be. But because of the scenario we played, I don't think it made much of a difference.
No,
if it was like a domination, then the bigger board probably would have played a really big part, because obviously everything would have been placed differently. But the way we did it, I don't think it mattered as much. But what did you think?
I enjoy it. Like you said, we got to have big heroes. I got to use Sauron.
Yeah.
Not only did I get to use Sauron, who is on the table right now, if you can see him, but I still felt like I had a relatively hoardy army, because I packed it out then with orcs and had a troll and had the Witch King, So it gives you an opportunity to really play with the beefy boys.
Yeah.
Or if you want to have a huge hoardy army, do that too. I feel like playing with huge hoardy armies gets pretty old pretty quick, though.
Yeah. It's... I notice it a lot with other games. Not really necessarily Middle-earth so much, but you get massive groups of stuff all in moving trays, and basically everything is just moving tray up, which it makes sense. Like for some of those, you go, I wish I did have moving trays, just do it. But with the terrain, it doesn't work. But I'm just like, I'd rather just have one thing that could do what this group does than 10 things that are all kind of a bit crap on their own. You know what I mean? Like I get it's the point of armies. You have your generals and your warriors, and the generals are better, blah, blah, blah. But there's a limit to that for me before it becomes a bit boring.
Yeah. I think the opinion on a 1,000-point battle should differ depending on whether it's a one-off game like we played or whether it's a 1,000-point tournament. If you're playing 3 games in a day of 1,000 points, I feel like that's a way to make tabletop gaming almost a chore. Yeah.
It's the one reason why, to be honest, I wouldn't do a 40k day tournament, and I wouldn't do a 1k Middle-earth day tournament.
No, I'd agree. I'd agree.
Which
I do think we should do a 1k Middle-earth tournament at some point, though. I mean, host one.
We can host one. I'll happily host it, but I couldn't play it. I just mentally, by the last game, I would just I'd be checked out, and then it's just not fun for anyone. I know that's too much.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. And I think you've touched on 40k there. The standard point size for 40k is 2,000 points. And to me, that's the equivalent of 1,000 points in Middle-earth.
Yeah.
If 1,000 points in Middle-earth seems huge, why does everybody accept it in 40k? To me, and people have said it feels unbalanced. I disagree completely, but 1,000 points is the best way of playing 40k.
Yeah, I would say that. I mean, obviously, we did our previous league in the store. That was a 2k one. And we've mentioned it before, just the length of games is just too much. If you're playing tabletop games like this, I don't think it should be a case of, okay, I have to put aside like half my day to be able to go there, set everything up, get everything out, then play a game for however many hours, and then pack it. Like, it's too much stuff for what should be a pretty friendly game. Yeah. And should just be a bit of fun. You can just meet up. Yeah, a little bit of setup. Have a good game. In my opinion, under an hour. Yeah. I think an hour for a long one, like if it's really close, but I think generally under an hour should be a good amount of time to at least.
I think a bit longer than that. I think if a game lasts an hour and a half, I think that's a nice time. 1.5 hours, I think, is a lovely time for a game. We had 2,000-point games in our league go on for 5 or 6 hours.
Yes.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah.
And it happened to be on a night that I was also playing. So I was like, yeah, staff member, go home. I'm here. It's all good. And then I was there till midnight.
Yeah.
It's just ridiculous. That would never happen in 1,000 points.
And afterwards, time limits got introduced.
Yes. Should have done that from the start. But I think it's not only just about how long the game lasts at 2,000 points or 1,000 points in Middle-earth. I think it's also accessibility to armies. So what's one of the biggest things people complain about with GW? Expensive. So, but that's only really the case if you're like, I've got to build a 2,000-point army. It's probably going to cost me over 500 quid.
Yeah.
If you're only building 1,000 points, that's like buy a combat patrol and a few extra units. You know, or,
well, that's literally why I won't start another 40k army at the moment.
Yeah.
Because I just cannot afford that investment.
Yeah. But if it was 1,000 points, you buy that Battle Force box and a hero or two, and you're good. Like, if I really wanted to be, tight and just be like, I just want to play, I don't care about competitive results, play World Eaters, chuck an Angron in, that's 450 points.
Yeah.
That and a few Khorne Berserkers and 1 or 2 more specialist units, you've got 1,000 points easily.
Yeah.
So not only is it way more affordable, it's way more possible to paint if you're trying to get ready for a tournament or an event or a league or a friendly, and you're not faced with the daunting task of, I could be playing this game for 4+ hours tonight.
Yeah.
Because there's nothing worse, in my opinion, than being really, really hyped for a game. I've just spent weeks building my army. I've gone through different lists. I've painted it up in a really cool color scheme. You're really, really excited for a game. And then 2.5 hours into it, you're just like, yeah, what was that? Oh, yeah, okay, I'll roll this. Oh, no, he's dead. And you're just fed up. There's nothing worse,
Yeah.
If you have a 1,000-point game and it goes tits up, hour and a half in, it's over. You've probably still had fun. There's nothing worse than losing for hours at a time.
Yes.
Or being bored for hours at a time.
Yeah.
I think as a community, we should genuinely for 40k consider 1,000 points being more acceptable. And I have actually heard more and more people talking about this.
Okay.
I totally agree.
Yeah.
I wish there was something we could do about it. We can run a league in the arena maybe that's 1,000 points. We even discussed 1,500 points.
Well, yeah, that's what we were going to do before the plans for the arena started.
True.
And then we were kind of like, okay, let's put all that on hold because we don't want to have a league and then move. And then it was just one extra thing too many at that point. But yeah, I definitely think, even if you did like a 1K beginners league, a 1.5K like more experienced league.
I think going forward, consistently throughout the year in the arena, we should run 2 leagues, an entry-level league for 1,000 points and a competitors league for 2,000 points. I think that's how we should do it. Yeah. And I think that kind of covers everybody. If you're like, you played Space Marine 2, you bought a starter set and you really want to give it a go, you've played a couple of games, you're ready to compete, jump in the beginners league for 1,000 points. Yeah. You're going to enjoy it more than likely. But if you're prepping for UKTC GTs and things like that, then you're not going to want to play 1,000-point league. Yeah. You want to practice with your list, so jump in the 2K league. I feel like that's a good shout.
Yeah, there's definitely got to be a big difference between the pro people who want to compete and it's just the casuals who just want to play some games. Yeah. That's it.